Hello and welcome back to Asia Now. Let's take a break from the news. In this video, we'll talk about why do so many expats love to retire in the Philippines. We'll read the questions, some answers, and I'll tell you guys personally why I love the Philippines. Here's today's question. Why do you think expats love to retire and live here in the Philippines? Someone says, because many of them, not all, didn't have a financial plan, they didn't save for retirement, so now they can't afford to retire in their home country. And or they are so overweight, fat, or sick that no women in their country would want them as a partner. But here, they can find someone to accept them in exchange for an easier lifestyle, money. And that was one person's response. Personally, I don't think the money is a big deal when it comes to retiring in the Philippines. Of course, it's cheaper than most American and Canadian places, but let's not forget there are a lot cheaper places in Southeast Asia. For example, Myanmar, even Cambodia, Thailand, I personally think maybe a little bit cheaper, or at least on par with the Philippines. So money may not be the number one thing. Plus, there's also Latin American countries that give you a lot more for your buck. So why travel across the world? So that could be a small factor of it. And the fat, overweight thing, are you saying that Filipinos don't have any standards? But all joking aside, of course, when your dollar goes a long way, because the last point was about money, let's not forget that Filipinos on average earn a lot less than an average American person. So if you have your retirement savings, you have monthly money coming in, that can buy you a lot more in the Philippines compared to your home country. Money is definitely a factor. I'm not going to sit here and tell you to your face, or at least through the camera, and lie to you that Filipinas or women in Asia don't want money. Let's not forget, that's the case in every country, right? It's not a secret. I think women want stability. They want some sort of comfort and lifestyle. And in the US and in Canada, that's getting a lot more expensive. Probably why so many people prefer to retire in the Philippines. Another person says the ones that want to retire here are usually drawn by the cost of living and maybe the cheap beer and girls. They usually eventually hate it here. The ones who love to live here usually love the culture and the people. They're the ones who usually continue to enjoy their decision to make here even when things get tough and the local store is out of stock of their favorite imported luxury item this week. Okay, some kind of underhanded comments there. That's one thing that's very true, and I support this mentality and theory 100%, right? It comes down to the individual. I'm not retired, and there's a lot of things that would annoy me in the Philippines or anywhere around the world, but it's up to me to choose how I look at that. For example, the out of stock thing happens sometimes in the Philippines when you're at the store, somewhere in a restaurant perhaps, so they're gonna be out of something. I can sit there and be grumpy about it, or I can simply try something new, maybe something I never tried before, a new dish on the menu or something like that, right? So I completely agree. It comes down to us and how we want to go ahead and have our experience in a whole brand new country, because don't forget, you have control of your life, you have control of your finances, and you have control of your emotional feelings. If someone in your life is being negative, cut them off. It's not that hard. Get somebody new. There's so many wonderful people in the Philippines and any country, so try to surround yourself with positivity instead of negativity. Someone says, I'm a Filipino-American expat and I never want to retire or live in the Philippines ever. LOL. I'm only there sometimes because I have family business. Thailand is 100 times better in every way to live and or retire in. But the reality is many expats can't make it there, so the default to Philippines as second ditch option. I'm not sure what you mean by many expats can't make it there in Thailand, because if it's a language thing, they have applications, Google Translate, it's pointing at things. Cost of living, I don't think Thailand is more expensive than the Philippines personally. I'm always in Thailand, and I think if you stay long-term away from the red light district zones, it's actually probably a little bit cheaper than the Philippines, maybe 5 to 10%. Definitely not more expensive for my lifestyle. I don't know what you guys do, but I'm talking about just like living a normal lifestyle, eating out regularly, cafes, restaurants, transportation. I think that's because Thailand is well equipped for tourism. They have a lot of people coming in, and they're not really like an archipelago. I don't think so. They're not divided as much as the Philippines. So regardless, yeah, Thailand would be an option for some, but I don't agree that they can't make it into Thailand. I don't know what that means. But for the Philippines, it's not a second option because people have so many options. American passport is very strong, and I think you have the same, one of the strongest probably in Southeast Asia at least. And like I mentioned earlier, Latin America, a lot of people are preferring to go, not preferring, a lot of people can go to Colombia, for example, Argentina, maybe some of the other countries like Mexico even. I know Mexico is getting a bit more expensive from what I hear. Regardless, there are so many other options. So I don't know what you mean, like Philippines as a second option wouldn't make sense to me, specifically if you're going to compare it to Thailand. Thailand has its good stuff, but it's got really, really negative stuff because The visa thing, I think, is the biggest obstacle, because although they just released a 5-year visa, not everyone can qualify for that, right? So I think the visa personally would be the number one option why a lot of people want to come and live in the Philippines, because you don't have to commit. You could stay up there a long time before like actually having to leave. Anyways, let's go read one more answer before I tell you guys why I love the Philippines. Another person says, my wife and I are moving there late next year. We are moving for a couple of reasons. First, let me state I'm not looking for a girl. We have been married 47 years and it's great by me. My wife is not Filipino, so that's nothing to do with me moving there. We actually want to move to someplace to spend our time relaxing. In addition, we are looking at lower cost of living. We currently live in Missouri, which has a pretty decent cost of living, but still 30 to 40% higher than the Philippines. The people are warm and friendly. Yes, there are scammers, skin tax, corruption, etc. But the good far outweighs the bad. And for many that continually point the bad out, apparently it's been a long time since you've been in the US for an extended amount of time. In short, we are going to start over, and the time we have left in the Philippines are where we are going to do that. So here's somebody that's not single chasing women or has a Filipino wife. This person is American with an American wife, but they still want to come to the Philippines, especially for the kind people and somewhere to relax. So as you can see, probably not a high number, but there are some individuals that still prefer the Philippines for retirement. I think also the military background I mentioned previously in another video, the VA I believe is called, they cover some kind of medication as well. And there's a big connection between the US and the Philippines, not to mention English. Now, let's not forget, English can be a very, very big factor for someone moving abroad. And this is not just a tourist vacation. This is your life every day, living somewhere within the locals, and you want to feel like part of the community. Unfortunately, in Thailand, no matter how much Thai you speak, how long you've been there, you're still going to be considered a Farang. You know, if you've been to Thailand, if you live there, you know what I'm talking about. People will treat you with respect, don't get me wrong. They won't harm you or just try to bother you. But from my understanding and just being here myself for such extended period of time, you're never really looked at as a local. And I don't even speak Thai, so I can't speak of that. But a lot of people have mentioned you never really truly get accepted into Thai culture, community, all that stuff. But Filipinos, at least towards me personally, everybody's included me in any kind of like group gathering, birthday parties, basketball games, strangers. We're going to get into a bit more of that in a second. Let me read one more thing for you guys before maybe sharing my personal thoughts about why I would retire in the Philippines and live there on a regular basis. Someone says, isn't it obvious? Come on, let's be real. Did you see a 20-year-old American girl will get married to a 60-year-old retired guy? Okay, so here we go, the dating scene, the reason why a lot of people come to the Philippines. I'm not oblivious to it. I understand. I'm a man myself. I see all the pretty gorgeous Filipinos as well. So, and the fact that they're very easy to get along with. They have an excellent sense of humor. I've interviewed hundreds, probably even close to 1,000 Filipinos by now on my main channel, and I've never come across one that's really rude. That's one thing. I've tried to interview Americans, Canadians. It's funny because the only time I've got any kind of like rudeness is from North Americans in the Philippines. Anyways, I don't want to get into that. But when I'm talking about that is I go out on the streets and I interview people. And sometimes I ask them, hey, would you like to be on? And they completely are rude to me. And the only time that's happened, it's never been either Thai, Malay, Filipina person, nothing like that. It's always been North American standard. So that tells you that women in North America, unfortunately right now, they're not very cooperative, I want to say. I don't know what the word is, but it seems like North American women, at least Canadians that I've tried to date or talk to in the past 10 years or so, have become very argumentative, or I don't know what the word, I don't want to generalize a whole gender, but I'm just saying for dating scene, I feel like the Philippines is still one of the best countries to date women because number one, they have an excellent sense of humor. Number two, they speak English so you can talk to them comfortably. Number three, probably tradition, culture. They have a little bit more of like a traditional role in a relationship. They're just easygoing. I've never had any trouble speaking to women in the Philippines. Now, that's not to say that they're all going to be perfect. That's not to say they all want a happy relationship, that they don't want your money, for example, but it does help, obviously. It does help when you don't have this stigma of approaching someone that's an adult that can decide whether they want to talk to you or not. Anyway, so I think dating as a whole, not sure about online so much, but at least in person, when I've talked to people in the Philippines, dating doesn't seem to be an issue at all for men, even with large age gaps. Now, this can be a couple of reasons. Some people would say it's because of the money, but I want to mention this. Money is the key factor in every single country. Like, So it's no different in the Philippines. Of course, your money goes a long way. And if you have US dollars, euros, you can buy a lot more things with that. And which woman doesn't want a comfortable lifestyle? No girl, at least no woman in an adult age, maybe some teenager thinking love is everything. But real women want real things, and real things cost money. And if you're not there to provide that, they're going to move on to somebody that can. Do I agree with it? I don't know, because I don't know what I could do with a woman if I didn't have money. What are we going to do? Hold hands and walk in the park? Then what? Where are we going to go to make out? Where are we going to go to eat? Where are we going to go to travel? So you need money for all these things. And I think the Philippines, it's the same as any other country. Actually, probably it just costs you a lot less. Now, let's read one more answer before we wrap this up. And someone says, a few reasons. 1, cost of living. One of the biggest draws is the cost of living in the Philippines is significantly lower compared to Western countries. Expats can enjoy a more comfortable lifestyle at a fraction of this cost, making it easier for them to stretch their retirement savings. 2, the warm climate and natural beauty. The Philippines is known for its tropical climate, beautiful beaches, and scenic landscapes, making it an attractive destination for those seeking relaxation and outdoor activities. Number 3 is welcoming people. Filipinos are often praised for their hospitality, kindness, and friendly nature. Many expats feel welcomed and experience a strong sense of community. 4, cultural affinity. There is a shared use of English, which makes communication easier for Western expats. Additionally, the Philippines has a rich culture that blends both Western and local influences, making it a comfortable transition for retirees from the West. As for relationships, some expats also appreciate the opportunity to form close connections with Filipinos, including women who are often perceived as being caring, family-oriented, and warm-hearted. Now that to me sounds like an answer straight from ChatGPT. I think someone just went in there and typed in, why do expats retire in the Philippines? But besides the point, I can't really disagree with anything that person said. Something just flew against the window there. I don't know what kind of animal that is, or insect. Anyways, I can't disagree with that. So let's go on to my personal reasons of why I make the Philippines my home base in Asia, why I've been there for the past 6 years on and off, mainly in Cebu. So here are my personal things. Number 1 thing for me is the people itself. By far, Filipinos are some of the friendliest people I've come across. They're genuine, they smile, they're happy, they want to talk to you, they want to get to know you, and they're just friendly overall. They have this amazing attitude towards life. So that makes me and my stay just 100 times better than anywhere else. Okay, so something might annoy me. I don't care, because personally I'm always happy, I'm smiling, I'm talking to people, I'm talking to locals, I'm meeting different groups of people. Number 2 is the cost of living. Yeah, it's not as cheap as Vietnam or India or Nepal or Bangladesh or some of these other places, but it doesn't offer you, just because something's inexpensive doesn't make it good, right? So you have to consider the affordability with the quality. Although the Philippines quality with something isn't the greatest, regardless, I'm not here for Western luxuries. I'm not in the Philippines to get the same Pringles or whatever I eat back home. I can adapt. I can try a local bag of chips, for example. I'm not there to try to eat a steak and complain about the texture. I've had that in my life. Maybe I'll try something local, right? So those kinds of things, at least for me personally, is a big factor. Nice people, cost of living. My rent is 1/3 of what it would be in Canada. Okay, is it the cheapest apartment that I can get in Asia? No, it isn't. But also, it still saves me a lot of money compared to living in Canada, right? So a lot of these things, and the biggest factor for me, or 2 more reasons actually. Number 3 will be the immigration process. In the Philippines, I can continue extending my visa without having to leave the country, still legally up to 3 years. Some people are saying 2, but those are just rumors. You can stay in the country up to 3 years without having to leave the Philippines, which is fantastic. Imagine which other country does that. Nowhere else, unless you have some sort of specific retirement visa, business visa, or married to somebody. But as a single tourist, that's excellent for me. I can just stay as long as I want and go in and out and continue to renew that 3-year period. And number 4, finally for me, is just the YouTube thing. I'm still making a living through YouTube. It's a lot easier for me to be in the Philippines because of English. I can be myself, I can make jokes, I can have like little flirtatious conversation for the camera in front of my, like, the interview, whatever. So makes my job a lot easier. So for those 4 reasons, probably a lot more, is why I choose the Philippines as somewhere I stay long term. Now, will that be something permanent? Will I retire somewhere in the future? I don't know yet. But right now, the Philippines is a place for me, and it may not necessarily be the place for you. And let's not forget, 1 or 2 bad experiences doesn't make the whole country something, right? So that's not fair, I think, because I've seen a lot of like kind of negativity or contradictions to some people's videos. Those could all, 2 things can be true at the same time, right? I can have a very amazing experience in the Philippines and you may not have such a good time. Doesn't mean that I'm lying or you're lying or like we're both wrong or one of us is wrong. Sometimes things are different for different people, and we have to accept that and go along with it. So that's it for this video. Leave your thoughts down below. Let me know, why do you think people love the Philippines? Why do expats retire there or live there long term? And that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, take a second, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and I'll see you guys on our regular news content maybe tomorrow. Bye.